this Nashorn video, we're going to be covering the beginning of the suspension. So what I have here is I have some 9mm buttons. You can use 11s, but if you can find a couple of matching 9s, they are better for the rear. And I've got a couple of 11mm buttons, and I've sanded them on the flat side. You can sand them on the other side as well, but you really want to sand them on the flat side just to aid gluing and stuff like that. I've also got some snowflake confetti of various sorts. These harder ones are made of plastic, and so I've washed them with detergent to degrease them, and I've sanded them down to aid in gluing. And these ones are like flexible, and so I washed them, but I'm not going to touch them with sandpaper. They're just too wimpy for that. And I've got some 8-ring caps here. You're going to need 4 of these as well. So we're going to start out by making the wheel detailing, which I've already got done on these ones. So take some straight glue. And, I mean, obviously you're going to have different access to snowflakes than I do, but they're generally pretty easy to get. There's just snowflake confetti, different varying sorts. Now, the 11mm buttons, I'm going to attach these, which make nice drive wheels. I'm just going to put some straight glue right on the button. And then because of the shape of them, it's a lot easier to put the button down onto the snowflake and then adjust it to get it nicely centered. And then I'll just set it aside to dry, just not quite down on the table, or else there's a chance it might glue to it. So you need 2 of those for each vehicle. Now with these wimpier ones, it's too hard to trim them while they're on the button. So I'll just take scissors. I used to do this with a utility knife, but I actually find it's a lot quicker to do with scissors if you have some nice small sharp ones that you can fit in there pretty easy. It's much quicker, and actually it ends up being just as accurate to take off these little things here. So these are just the return wheels for the back, some detailing for them. I'm just going to show myself making one though. So these go on the 9mm buttons, and whenever you're gluing these snowflakes down, always glue them to the flat side of the button rather than the concave side of the button. The concave side is useful, because you're sort of trying to attach plastic to paper, or wood rather, and so you need a spot to stick in the cap. So basically when you make the axle, you cap it with the cap gun cap, and then you stick the concave side right in there to give you a bunch more gluing surface, and it's a plastic to plastic bond, so it's a lot easier to make. So now that we've got those made, and I've got some ones that are already dry here, which I'll show on the final product, take a bamboo skewer, and if you haven't drilled out these, where's my drill gun? There it is. Rear holes, now's the time to do it. Let's just drill those out quickly. And then push bamboo skewer through to enlarge the hole. And same with the front axle. We're going to use an extra large skewer, if you have one, or even a wooden matchstick, to just enlarge these holes a little bit extra. Because when you try to push the shortened skewers through, you end up getting caught up because you don't have a sharp end on the opposite side. It just makes it a lot easier if you make them a bit expanded. So we want to cut a couple bits of skewer, and we're going to cut them at 33 millimeters. 33 and a half, 33, right around there. Shouldn't make too much of a difference one way or the other. So 33. And we're going to need 4 of these 8-ring caps. You don't have to worry, like the parts aren't really visible, so you don't have to worry about being really careful when you take off this rear, or the ring that they sit upon. You can just kind of cut that away without worrying too much about rounding them like you sometimes have to. And there we go. Now we just want to set these. Hopefully it's not too easy to find the hole on the other side. And push the skewer through without pushing a whole lot of material through with it. And just as you're pushing it through, brace that so you don't end up lifting off the hull side. I mean, it should be glued down good enough anyways, but just being careful. That one went through nice and easy. Okay, a little bit of flashing on the front of that. Now we need some straight glue and some 4-to-1 glue. And we're going to start with 4-to-1 glue. Just a little bit more than that. Sort of infuse around where those skewers poke out, the axles, and then push them back and forth so it gets a little bit of glue inside to glue them down to the model. And then use your straight glue and just put a little bit inside each of these caps. Not filling them, just putting a little bit in each one. And attaching one as an axle cap. And really the only reason that you're putting those on there is to make it possible to attach the buttons. Otherwise they just won't go on there. It's impossible. So leave those for a second to dry. Probably not enough of a second, but it's fine. And I want to show you how to trim these wheels. So basically, I'm just going to lay my scissors along the edge of the button, spin the button so that I cut the snowflake off level with it. You can see that creates a pretty nice little drive wheel there. I mean, it's not perfectly historically accurate, but, and depending completely, I guess, on the snowflake style that you use to achieve your effect. Oh, you can't see it very well with the blue on black, but you can see it on the red with white. And with these ones, you just simply trim them off. Quite self-explanatory. I understand it's not super easy to see the pink on pink, but hopefully you can kind of see the opalescence. So it's kind of more like the return wheels would be. And now, just a little bit of modeling glue or super glue. I'm going to use super glue because I really like how fast it dries, so I can move from one piece to the next. And the 11mm buttons, you want to attach to the front. Remember how I said you're going to use that concave area so as a nesting ground for the 8-ring cap. So with super glue, the faster you can get your piece into position and set drying in its proper place, the stronger the bond's going to be. So if you can manage to get it into position pretty quickly, you're a lot better off. With modeling glue, you have a little bit more time, which does in some ways make it nice. But I prefer the super glue. It's not really necessary to scarify like the cap end or anything like that because the glue actually melts in to the material. Okay, so that gets you through the first step of suspension making. Leave that to dry and you'll be ready for the next video. Thanks for watching, and hopefully see you soon. Subscribe to the website, spread the word. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.